Hello everybody, it's the 17th of May today, and this is my Virginia creeper that I'm growing as a kind of leaning, what's the word? The word has gone. Broom, a sort of leaning broom style. I know that's not it's not a real official style in the Japanese scheme of things, but I kind of just like the look of this tree, having it sort of lean on. It's definitely heading too far though in that direction at the moment, and not coming back far enough as 'tis. Let me give you a quick 360 so you can see it does have quite a bit of wire on. It being a climbing vine, the branches were very loose and floppy, and weren't able to hold themselves up under their own weight this time last year, which is why they were very loosely wrapped in some wire. You can see the wind's still able to wobble them about a bit. Yeah, so the wire is very loose, but I am going to have to keep an eye on it, and at some point it's going to have to come off. At some point this cane will have to be removed, but for now it's again holding this trunk up until such time as it's able to support itself, which I'm hoping will be kind of this time sort of next year. So what am I going to do to it today? Nothing at the moment on this plane of the tree, and I'm going to leave all these lower growths to grow and do their thing, even though they're eventually going to be removed. I'm going to treat them as sacrifice branches to help flatten this trunk. The cane will give it some nice movement as it twirls round, and as I say, I'm going to leave this branch as is. I might even enjoy these little flowers, such as they are. They're not hugely wonderful flowers, but it tries, bless it, it tries to be a nice attractive plant. What I am going to do is I'm going to chop this portion back, because as I say, it's getting too long in this direction, and I'm going to snip it there, and at some point I'm going to cut this growing tip again as well, but I'm going to let that extend a little further. I'm going to cut that growing point. This back branch I'm going to leave as well for the time being. So that's it. Put it back on the bench, and we'll come back and visit it in a few weeks' time, see how it's getting on. Let's just put the can in for scale quickly. Okay, so it's the 16th of June, and the tree is growing out quite nicely now. Still in two minds about what to do with this lower trunk. I know I said I was going to leave these lower growths on to facilitate fattening up the trunk so that it will become strong enough to support itself, rather than using this bamboo cane and wire arrangements, which I'll move you in closer to show you again if you haven't seen this tree before. And I think I am going to leave them, but it does look rather scruffy and not very interesting like that, but I guess that's just a necessary step in the evolution of this particular tree. So let's try and give you a little bit of a 360. It's a bit difficult because the tree is such a big one. In fact, I'm not really going to be able to give you a proper 360, but I can give you a kind of a look round, as it were. Okay, let's move you in a little closer, and then we can see exactly what I plan to do next with this tree. As I say, I'm going to leave this these lower branches to fatten up this trunk to take the place of this wire and bamboo structure, which hopefully I'll be able to remove next year as the tree gets firm enough to hold up its own weight. It will eventually, I hope. We shall see. I've already had to loosen the wires in a couple of places because the branches were fattening up and the wire was beginning to cut in, and it's only June, so it's growing very vigorously at the moment, which is nice, but I'm going to start trimming it back even though it's only just starting to flower. If we're absolutely honest, the flowers on this aren't really what it's grown for anyway. You can see it's in bud there, but it's mainly grown for its gorgeous autumn or fall colour, and what I'm going to do now is start to cut it back a little bit to try and encourage more side shoots and more growth to build me a head, as it were. So I'm just going to be nipping out a few shoots here and there, and I may have to do a little bit of wiring. Okay, so the tree has decided it's going to grow straight up where it had. I don't like this elbow particularly. It's too much of a, can you see that, a 90-degree angle really. So I'm going to try and straighten that out slightly, very loosely wired, because that's better. I don't want too many wire scars, and now it's going to droop because of its own weight, so I'm gonna chop it there. Again, this bit of wire is kind of holding it up. It's going to be interesting. I do want this to be a weeping tree, I'm sure I've said that already, but I need a framework for it to weep from, as it were. Gonna snip that back. And there we go, round. Just a few other places I'm going to snip it back out. As I say, just want to encourage all that extra branching. Okay, put that back on the bench and we'll come back and look at it again. (28th of July), and this Virginia creeper project doesn't seem to have been doing very much. Well, it has finally started to put out a little bit of growth from the top, just here, but nothing on the ends of these pieces that I cut back. Instead, it's putting all its growth from the base down here, which is a bit of a nuisance because it's spreading out everywhere all over the bench, and as much as the odd sacrifice branch is useful, it's a bit of a nightmare when it's engulfing everything else. So I'm actually going to chop these lower pieces off. I mean, they would help flatten the trunk, it's true, but that's about it. But what I'd actually like is to start building a branching structure at the top where I really want it. So what I'm hoping is, if I remove those lower growths like so, the plant will take the hint and start shooting at the top. we shall see. Yeah, let's pop it back on the bench and we shall see. Okay, so it's the 15th of September, and well, the tree hasn't made the progress that I had hoped, but I guess that's just the way it is sometimes, and there's no point in beating ourselves up if our trees don't perform quite the way that we want them to. There's always next year, unless of course a tree dies, but in this instance this tree hasn't died, but it just hasn't grown particularly well. If you watched earlier videos on this tree, or even earlier parts of this video itself, I'm sure I probably said I was hoping to get lots of branches cascading down and making this into an almost a weeping willow style tree, and well, the tree has obligingly provided me with the one, which is very odd. It's been treated the same as most of my other trees, and one obvious limiting factor could well be the fact that it's in a very shallow bonsai pot, and indeed it only went in there this year, so maybe it's been getting its roots under it, and hopefully it'll get away and grow vigorously next year. These branches, I still don't think they're going to self-support, so I'm going to leave the wire on. It's not cutting in yet, but the tree seems to be shutting down for autumn now, the fall, depending on where you come from. But it's already starting to turn delicious shades of bronze and red and yellow, and I'm sure we'll only get more delicious as the next little while goes on. But it's obviously decided that that's it for this year. It's going to shut down, and so this is pretty much where we'll end this video. But I did want to just show my other Virginia Creeper project, which is a fusion project, and just for the contrast of it, to show you that in a deeper pot we've definitely got more growth, or maybe it's just the difference in position in the garden. So in contrast, this fusion project has actually put on quite a lot of growth. In fact, one in particular, which was at the back and I hadn't even noticed, I'll be honest, has indeed put on a lot of extra growth indeed. So and although it's beginning to turn in a few places, it's not showing the same, oh it's autumn, I'm going to lose my leaves and drop. For the most part it's still very green. Now what am I going to do with this piece? I'm going to cut it off, because I'm not going to need all of this extension growth, and that'll make it easier to work with. This tree obviously has its own playlist, and if I can remember, I will try and save this bit of footage for when I actually do a whole video on this tree. So that'll be for another time and another video. Thank you all for watching, I really do appreciate it. Do the usual YouTube things, the liking, the subscribing and the commenting. Most of all, please stay safe everybody.